Hello all, and thank you for listening to another video of Mr. Laxton talking through these Algebra II Section 6.4 notes. And today we're looking at factoring. Alright, so we're looking at factoring of things that are more than just GCF, more than just the diamond and things like that. We're looking at a couple different ways to factor. Alright, and we're going to end up talking about factoring and finding out solutions of a polynomial. All right, so the solutions that we're going to talk about in the second part of chapter 6, what do those solutions actually mean? All right, but today we're just looking at how to find them by factoring. Okay, so 6.4, always look for a GCF first. All right, that is huge. When I factor polynomials, make sure you star that in, always look for a GCF. If it has two terms, you have to ask yourself, is it difference of squares or difference of cubes? All right, so those are a couple different types that we're going to look at today to see if they make sense, see if they work. All right. If it has three terms, that's the easy factor, so that's the diamond method. All right, so if it's got three terms, we put that in the diamond. That one's pretty quick, pretty easy. All right, if you have four terms, you factor by grouping. So that's another new one today that we're going to look at. Hey, how is factor by grouping a little bit different? I don't think we've looked at that a whole lot. All right, so here we go. Difference of squares is the first one. So if you have a squared minus a b squared, that's the same thing in the factored method as a plus b and a minus b. All right, so here I have to look at what squared gives me 25x to the fourth and what squared gives me 36. And that's going to be my a and my b. All right, and that's a little bit tricky to look at first. This 36 is kind of a little bit easier though. What squared gives me 36? 6 squared gives me 36, so my b is 6. All right, and I know that 5 squared gives me 25, but what squared gives me x to the fourth? I know that, hey, that's x to the second. All right, so I know that my a is 5x squared and my b is 6. So now I just plug them into this guy right here. So this is going to be my a plus my b, so 5x squared plus 6. And then my a minus my b, my 5x squared minus 6. Bam. All right, so that is difference of squares factor. Okay, the next one is factor by grouping. This one's kind of nice in the way that this always works out. The grouping part is right in the name. You have to group the first two and then group the second two. So then now out of these guys, you can look, hey, what is a GCF that I can take out of these? So here out of this first one, I know that I can take a 3a out of this. So if I take a 3a out of this, I have 5b minus 1 left. Okay, I still have this plus. The plus comes straight down. All right, and now here, what can I take out of 10b minus 2? And I look at that, hey, I can take a 2 out of both those guys, so that's going to be 5b minus 1. Okay, and the way that this is really nice is because what do you notice about those things in the parentheses? That they're the same, right? So I have 5b minus 1 and 5b minus 1. So if you factor by grouping, this is always going to come out pretty nice for you. All right, so that 5b minus 1 can actually be factored out in the front now. That's what they both have in common. And then what do they have left? We have 3a plus 2. All right, so those guys come in the back part there. Okay, so that is factor by grouping. Okay, so the sum of two cubes and difference of two cubes, this is if you have two cubes and you have either a plus in between them or a minus in between them, these are kind of the two rules that we go into. We go this a plus b and then the a minus b and all that stuff after it. Okay, and that's how they factor. Okay, so here we go for this first example. I have 125 plus x cubed. I'm just going to rewrite this as x cubed plus 125. So just rewrite that into more kind of the standard form. So now you have to ask yourself, what cubed gives me x cubed and what cubed gives me 125? I know that x cubed gives me x cubed. And I know that 5 cubed gives me 125. So this is my a and this is my b. So now, for sum of two cubes, because it's got a plus in between them, I got to go through this guy right here. So it's going to be a plus b. Excuse me, I'm not going to write a plus b. I'm going to actually fill these guys in. So my a is going to be x plus 5. And then in this guy, it's going to be my a squared, which is going to be x squared, minus 5x, because that's my a times my b, plus my b squared, which is 25. All right. And that's my final answer right there. Okay, great, awesome, dandy. All right, so now the next one here, if I look at this guy, always look for that greatest common factor first. So I take out an a out of both these guys, and then I have 64a to the cubed minus 27. And then now I have to ask myself, hey, what cubed gives me 64a cubed, and what cubed gives me 27? And hey, I know that 3 cubed gives me 27. And I know that 4 cubed gives me 64, and I got to tack on an a there. Okay, so again, hey, this is my a, this is my b. Make sure that this a stays out in front, so that's going to be a, and now it's going to be a minus my b, this guy right in here. Okay, so it's going to be my a minus my b, so it's going to be 4a minus 3. And then over here, it's going to be my a squared, which is going to be 16a squared. Don't forget to distribute that squared onto the 4 as well. Plus my a times my b, which is going to be, what, 3 times 4a, which is 12a. And then plus my b squared, which is 9. All right, awesome. Okay, so there we go. That is my final answer there. Okay. Couple things in here as we go through here. We're going to solve these guys by factoring, and we're going to look at, in the second part of chapter 6, we're going to look at solving by factoring a lot and finding these solutions. All right, so the number of solutions is n is the number of solutions, where n is the degree of your polynomial. So your number of solutions is your highest exponent. All right, exponent, I can't spell exponent, apparently. It's your highest exponent. All right, and here if I look at this first one, it says my example, 2x to the 7th plus 5x to the 4th minus x cubed, so, has blank number of solutions. It has 7 solutions. It is just looking at your highest exponent. Okay, so there we go. Looking at my highest exponent there gives me my number of solutions. All right, we're gonna, like I said, we're going to talk about in the second part of chapter 6, kind of bring this all together. Is what do these solutions actually mean? All right, awesome. So this first one, notice how I crossed out that second one there. We're just going to worry about this first one. I have to factor this guy in order to find all of my solutions. So it says get all the terms to the same side of the equal sign. Then number 2 is factor, and then set each factor equal to 0. Okay, awesome. So here we go. To factor this one, I have to always look for a greatest common factor. I can take out a 2 out of both of them, and I can take out a y. So then I have what left? I have y to the 4th minus 9 equals 0. Okay, and then now I look at that y to the 4th minus 9. I know that that is difference of squares. So now I know that, hey, I have 2y, and then I know that something squared can give me y to the 4th minus something squared can give me 9. All right, again, that something squared is going to be y squared. Where's my blue? My blue. Where are you, blue? Y squared, and then something squared to give me 9 is 3. All right, so now go through that difference of squares pattern. I have 2y, and then this is going to be y squared minus 3. And then y squared plus 3 equals 0. So now I factored it. I know that's tough in the first part, but now this part shouldn't be too bad, is because you just set each factor equal to 0. So I just take my 2y, and I set it equal to 0. I take my y squared minus 3, I set it equal to 0. And I take my y squared plus 3, and I set it equal to 0. Okay, so now I just got to solve these guys. Solve this guy for y, divide by 2. This one's an easy one, so y equals 0. So that is one of my solutions. All right, so maybe let's talk about this. How many solutions do I have? 5. So I need to come up with 5 because that's my highest exponent solutions. All right, so here to solve this guy, I got to add the 3 over. I got to add the 3, so I get y squared equals 3. Square root, so now I get y equals plus or minus the square root of 3. Don't forget the plus or the minus. So that is another 2 solutions. All right, so I have 0 is 1, and then plus or minus 3 is going to be another 2, so I have 3 solutions so far. Now this one over here, if I solve this guy, I got a minus the 3, I got a minus the 3, I get y squared equals negative 3. Take the square root of both sides, so now I get y is equal to plus or minus, and remember this negative square root is an I, square root's 3. Okay, so there is 2 more solutions to make up my 5. All right, so I get it. I know that factoring is kind of tough in the first place, but hopefully that last part where you set all the factors equal to 0, hopefully that shouldn't be too bad once you go through those. Okay, so again, I know that the factoring is a little bit tough. We'll do a lot of this practicing with factoring. Always look for a GCF first. Thank you for listening, and have a good rest of your day.